Today, the Catholic Church remembers Saint Thomas of Villanova. He was a Spanish Augustinian monk and archbishop who lived a life of austerity in order to provide for the spiritual and material needs of the poor. He was called an alms giver and father of the poor, for he was raised in this virtue of practical charity by his father, a miller, and his mother, who gave away in alms all they earned to the poor and the needy. Generous and devout from an early age, their son was also intellectually gifted. At 16, he began his studies at the University of Salamanca. Within 10 years, he had become a professor of philosophy at that same university, where he taught for 2 years and was offered more prestigious position at the university. Thomas, however, chose not to continue his academic career. After his father's death, he had determined to leave much of his inheritance to the poor and sick rather than retaining it himself. At the age of 28, after much reflection, Thomas embraced a life of chastity, poverty, and religious obedience with his entry into the monastic order of Saint Augustine. He was ordained a priest in 1518. He rapidly gained fame as a learned lecturer of theology and as an inspired preacher. He was much in demand all over Spain. This led to his appointment as a court preacher and advisor to the Holy Roman Emperor Charles V. Presented with the prospect of being named an archbishop, Thomas initially refused and preferred to continue his work within the order of Saint Augustine. He was also the provincial of his congregation, and during his tenure of office, he sent out the first band of Augustinian missionaries to Mexico. Later, he was ordered by his religious superiors to accept his appointment as the Archbishop of Valencia. Thomas arrived wearing the same well-worn monastic habit that he had worn for several years and would continue wearing for years to come. He labored at reforming the morals of both clergy and laity. Given a donation to decorate his residence, he used the money for a fire-gutted hospital in need of repair. After his installation, he visited local prisons and ordered changes to be made in response to their inhumane conditions, and he did away with underground prisons. He founded a college for young clergy, another for poor students, and an orphanage for foundlings and children of indigent parents, and for the benefit of working people. Masses were offered at very early hours of morning. He set an example for others by himself, living in utter simplicity and poverty, mending his own clothes and giving away 2/3 of his episcopal revenues in alms. Thus, about 500 people were fed daily, and special almoners sought out respectable persons who, finding themselves in financial difficulty, shrank from asking for help. Mechanics were provided with the necessary tools to enable them to earn a living. In short, his life was one of continuous self-sacrifice and charitable action. Thomas also had the gift of miracles, whereby he healed the sick and converted hard-hardened sinners. While continuing his life of monastic asceticism, the Archbishop worked to improve the spiritual lives and living conditions of the faithful. He gave special attention to the needs of the poor, feeding and sheltering them in his own residence. During the same period, he worked to promote education, restore religious orthodoxy, and reform the lifestyles of clergy and laypersons. After 11 years leading the Archdiocese of Valencia, St. Thomas of Villanova succumbed to a heart condition at the end of a Mass held in his home on September 8, 1555. He is said to have died on the floor rather than on his own bed, which he insisted to offer to a poor man who had come to his house. Saint Thomas of Villanova, make us more charitable.